You know,
when you lose a player, it's like losing a son. You know, it's difficult.
you know, I talked to Gene and I talked to a few guys and really want to thank Coach for putting this together. I mean, letting us be able to come in here and be able to do what we're going to do. But, you know, what is the mindset? And hopefully it can grow from this. But what is the mindset? The mindset was us growing up in National City. That was the mindset. And I think I mentioned to some of you guys when I talked to you that. And the mindset, a gentleman named Dave Lay came in and says, whoa, I can corral this mindset and do something with these boys from National City. Well, the nice thing about it, he didn't create a melting pot. He enjoyed a tossed green salad where the tomato was a tomato, a carrot still looked like a carrot, nothing was meshed in to become one. He accepted everybody in that bowl. And then as that thing went, later on, that mindset started to really become part of people's fibers. And then Gene Alam came in and he says, well, I like what Dave corralled, but I'm going to polish it up. And today we are now that product. So when you look at the mindset, it didn't start, they didn't create it, but they added to it. They added to it. Fred Aviv says it great. He says, it all started at South Bay Pop Warner when you got all the elementary alpha dogs to be able to be one. And that's really what it is. So Gene, I just want to say thank you for coming in and polishing up a group of guys like us that are in front of you. And what I do today, I do it, and I still tell people the best coach I have ever coached with is this gentleman right here. And I thank you for being a part of my fiber. Thank you very much.
I don't know if all the players, ex-players would agree with that, probably yelling I put on them and the stress, but I will tell you this, reflecting back, I remember meeting with Dave Lay, and I actually played in high school when he was coaching, and to me, he was a heck of a coach even back then. So when I had the good fortune of coming on and coaching here, the number one priority for me was don't screw this up. You've got a legendary coach here who's done a fantastic job, and he's the one that laid the foundation down for you guys. People would often say, why do you still slam those jackets in the 50-yard line when the kids come in? And there was a lot of answers for me psychologically. I said, Dave Lay did it. Dave Lay did it. I was blaming it on him. But you know, there was a lot of teams that got pissed off over that. They didn't like that. They thought we were showing them up, and I'm saying, it's on our sideline. Our kids are running down the field on our side. We have nothing to do with Walbrook or these other guys, you know, but little things like that Dave Lay did, the uniforms, the stripes, I wasn't about to change that. And I remember when I left, all that changed. And I'm thinking, why would you want to get off a winning horse? But my number one priority was, don't screw this up. I get here, and I look around and I go, wow, these are the kids that I've been given. And I said, we got some pretty good kids here. Not physically as much, but mentally. These kids would do anything to win a ball game. And when I say anything, I mean anything. If we said we're practicing Saturday and Sunday for 8 hours, they would be here. When we kicked them off the field, and by the way, 100% of those days that we kicked you off the field, we discussed it in the offices before we came on the field. We were going to kick you off that day, no matter what, because there was something going on. Yeah. We could afford to do that, and we knew that it would spark something. And those days, 100% of the time, what did the captains do? They got together and held a practice out there. And it just brought you that much closer together. And we were inside, of course, meeting and stuff, getting things planning. We would make sure we covered what we needed to before we kicked you out. But I was blessed to be given that mentality and that physical specimen, and we said, don't screw it up. And the most important thing I did was went out and headhunted for the best people available, which you all know Coach West is one of them, and Coach Tipton was another, and Coach Hareen was a third in my, looking back. Then, of course, we filled in with all the other assistant coaches. Coco was heavily involved with the youth kids at Pop Warner at that time, and he had told me back then, he says, you're going to win a championship with these kids that we come through here. And he says, you might not lose a game for a couple of years. I don't know how you did that, but it came true because he was blessed with his brother and everybody else that was playing with him. And so a lot of it was not pressure, but what we put on ourselves as coaches to do a good job. All of us. Dave Napoleon's here, he coached us back in the heyday. And Rolando, even though he didn't know it, he thought he was a coach out there. You know, he did stuff like that. So that mentality from Dave Lay to me, I don't want to say it was easy, but I knew that we had our work cut out. And then my mentality that I've always had is, these guys are like my sons. What would I do if it was my son? I would want the best for my son. I would want to work him. But I always try to be fair with the kids. And I thought that went a long ways. You know, we had 2 rules with the coaches. I don't know if you remember this, but one of the rules is don't cuss. I have used that every day. You know, I screwed that up every day. And the second was don't grab the kids. So looking back, I hope none of that happened, but I'll never forget one day I happened to be with the offensive lineman and Coach West, who was a little bit older than me, and I looked up to him. He said, damn it, in the middle of the drill, and they looked at me and goes, oh shit, I'm sorry, Coach, I'm sorry. It's okay, Bob, we'll take care of it later. But, you know, we had tremendous coaches that went on to do a lot of great things later on, like Coach Tipton going on to Stanford for 19 years. Coach Coco going on to the JC level and winning national championships. And now at Centennial, one of the top 7 schools in the country. It's pretty impressive. I didn't know this. I knew that it was a high number, but when he told me that we have 66 to 70 ex-kids or players coaching, that boggled my mind. And I said, you know, Coco, that's a reflection on you coaches. Because if we had laid a bad, negative scenario on the kids, they wouldn't want to coach ever, because obviously they didn't have that affection for it that you do now. And then lastly, the thing that I cherish most now, like I was trying to tell Cortez Greer the other night as he was in his bed, and I was trying to hold his hand, and I got one smile out of him the whole time I was there, because he was not in good shape. And I told him how these championships are this much in importance to me as to my relationship with you guys. With you, because I've been able to work with most of you guys, with Coco, and all my players. Those championships come and go. The wins come and go. The 37 wins, that might not ever be broken, but they come and go. But the relationships that we have with each other, not just the coaches, but with each other, is priceless. And that is what I cherish the most. So that, I hope, is in a little bit of what we've evolved to now.